You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Thursday, the 1st of August. PM Modi calls Vietnam important partner in Act East policy and Indo-Pacific vision. Rescue efforts intensify in India's landslide hit Wayanad. Rahul Gandhi meets survivors. And new Rohingya refugees flee to Bangladesh amid latest fighting in Myanmar. And now for all the details. India and Vietnam on Thursday firmed up a new action plan to expand their strategic ties, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserting that both sides will work towards a free and rules-based Indo-Pacific and that New Delhi supports development and not expansionism. After wide-ranging talks with Vietnam's Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh, Modi said the agreed $300 million credit line will strengthen Vietnam's maritime security. PM Modi said Vietnam is India's important partner in our Act East policy and Indo-Pacific vision. This comes amid growing global concerns over China's expansionist agenda in the Indo-Pacific. Both sides also signed and exchanged MOUs for cooperation in various other sectors, including customs capacity building, agriculture, research and education.
Thank you, sir.
Moving on, India's main opposition Congress party leader Rahul Gandhi, along with his sister Priyanka Gandhi, on Thursday visited Wayanad district of Kerala, where at least 270 people have lost their lives and hundreds are still missing in multiple landslides triggered by heavy rainfall. Rahul Gandhi had won the recently contested general election from Wayanad but resigned from the seat as he was also elected from his family bastion in northern India. Priyanka Gandhi is making her electoral debut from the Wayanad constituency. They both met survivors and offered condolences.
See, I mean, to me, this is a national disaster for sure. But let us see what the government says. I'm not interested in politics right now. I'm interested in the people of Wayanad. I'm interested in them getting the best possible care, best possible protection, and being looked after for the future.
Meanwhile, Indian soldiers on Thursday rushed to complete construction of a metal bridge to connect the worst affected area in the landslides. The landslide that occurred early on Tuesday sent torrents of mud, water and tumbling boulders downhill, burying or sweeping people living in villages as they were asleep.
We, as of now, are on the third day of the operation, which we have launched. Almost all people who are trapped and needed rescue have been rescued. Now we need to get into the houses and see if there are any people who are trapped inside the houses whom we cannot find. For that we need heavy equipment. Our bridge is nearing completion at 10 o'clock today, and once the bridge comes up, it will be a major change. We will be able to induct all equipment into the site, and once the equipment goes into the site, then we will be able to dig for people.
Moving on, hundreds of people gathered in Pakistan's Karachi on Wednesday to offer funeral prayers in absentia for Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh, who was assassinated in Iran by the Israeli army. Haniyeh was assassinated early on Wednesday morning, drawing threats of revenge in a region already shaken by the war in Gaza and amidst deepening conflict with Hezbollah in Lebanon. In the latest, the Israeli military on Thursday claimed that the head of Hamas military wing, Mohammad Deif, was also killed in an airstrike in Gaza last month. Pakistani citizens called upon the rulers of Muslim nations, saying that they should raise voice against Israeli terrorism. Pakistan remains a staunch supporter of the proposal for the creation of an independent Palestinian state and does not recognize the state of Israel.
इसकी मजम्मत करते हैं, साथ ही साथ हम मुस्लिम दुनिया के हुक्मरानों से इस बात की अपील करते हैं कि खुदारा जाग जाइए, खुदारा इसराइल की दहशतगर्दी के खिलाफ आवाज़ बुलंद कीजिए। वो 40 ममालिक की फ़ौजें जो दरअसल मुसलमानों के लिए बनाई गई थी कि मुसलमानों को उससे रिलीफ मिलेगा, आज पूरी उम्मत ये सवाल कर रही है कि वो 40 ममालिक की फ़ौजें कहाँ हैं।
Meanwhile, Sindhi activists in the US held anti-Pakistan protest on Wednesday, raising concern over atrocities against religious and ethnic minorities in Sindh province. A report.
Members of the Sindhi Foundation staged a demonstration outside the Pakistani consulate in Chicago on Wednesday, alleging widespread human rights abuses targeting the Sindhi people in Pakistan, specifically accusing Islamabad of religious and ethnic persecution. Their primary demands included the immediate release of Priya Kumari, a Hindu minor abducted 3 years ago in Sindh province. The protesters claimed these crimes are state-sponsored, part of a larger effort to suppress Sindhi culture and identity. The protest also highlighted concerns over the recent census, which they claimed was manipulated to inflate the Urdu-speaking population in Karachi, part of a broader strategy to homogenize Pakistani society at the expense of minority groups. They also highlighted incidents of land grabbing, enforced disappearances, and extrajudicial killings of Sindhi people, and called on the international community to suspend aid to Pakistan until human rights improve.
And a new wave of Rohingya refugees have made their way into Bangladesh from neighboring Myanmar, saying their homes were attacked and burned by a rebel force battling the military junta. A report.
30-year-old Saifur Rahman, along with his wife and children, made their way into Bangladesh from Myanmar as they managed to save their lives, along with thousands others, saying their homes were attacked and burned by a rebel force battling the military junta. Scores of Rohingyas in Buthidaung town in Myanmar found themselves fleeing on foot in May and running for their lives as their homes were allegedly burned down in the dead of the night. The conflict flared after a ceasefire between the Arakan army, a powerful armed ethnic group, and the Myanmar junta broke down late last year. Since then, the Arakan army is said to have taken over large swathes of territory. Initial reports suggest at least 45 Rohingyas died during the attack and its immediate aftermath.
গুলি মারামারি চলের আর বাই গোয়া মগবাগি মিলিটারি দৌড়ি লগিয়ে মর গিয়ে তো এবার আর গোসাম মর গিয়ে তো মা বাবার গর্ভবতী থাকি তো তারা মর গিয়ে বাদে আর গুড়া গোফ দুয়া সিরাজন গোফ আলের দাসি তো আইতে 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 বিহার গেড়ে রাশি তো থানসা পারাঙ্গি তো আলিসঙ্গে তো হারাং হালাসি হারাং তো সিন্ধি বানাং তো ডালা বাই
Bangladesh is already home to almost 1 million Rohingyas, and thousands of others are reportedly waiting on the other side of the border. The South Asian nation is reluctant to accept more, and the future of the newly arrived hangs in the balance, with deportation a possibility. They said they chose to stay in Buthidaung even after surviving the horror in 2017, believing the worst was over. But the recent atrocities were more brutal than the violence they experienced. The Myanmar's information ministry has denied that the military had ignited communal tensions and attributed all blame on the Arakan army. Myanmar has been engulfed in chaos since February 2021, when the military led by Min Aung Hlaing ousted an elected civilian government in a coup, triggering a wave of protest that has transformed into a nationwide armed rebellion against the junta.
Moving on, Sri Lanka's key inflation rate fell 0.5% month-on-month in July after a 0.8% rise in June, the Statistics Department said on Wednesday. The Colombo Consumer Price Index, a leading indicator for broader national prices, tracks inflation in Colombo, Sri Lanka's biggest city. The CCPI rose to a 2.4% year-on-year in July after a 1.7% rise in June. While food prices rose 0.1% month-on-month in July, prices for non-food items fell 0.7%, with costs remaining subdued due to 22.5% reduction in power tariffs, as well as lower fuel and cooking gas prices implemented earlier this month. Over the past 2 years, the crisis-hit island nation has been witnessing a gradual economic recovery, especially after securing a crucial $2.9 billion IMF bailout. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.